album, duets, and all that, and I got really excited about it. We play a few years ago. Paul Anka did an album called Rock Swings, where he took some his daughters were like in their teens in the '80s, and he took a bunch of '80s pop songs and redid them kind of Vegas-y swing style. And in fact, I tried to talk him into doing another album like that. But then you sort of did a different twist on that same concept.
A little bit, yeah. We did classic country songs done in a jazz styling. Yeah. So
now, have you always jazz like your thing? Always?
No. Actually, I mean, it's kind of a crazy roundabout way that I found my way into jazz. I grew up on all the Great American Songbook standards and all the vocal jazz greats like Sinatra and Sammy Davis and Mel Torme. And, but, you know, growing up and getting ready to get into the business and stuff, I didn't really think that I could necessarily make a living or a commercial living at doing that style of music.
It's a tough genre.
Yeah,
really
in
is.
This day and age, you know. And so I actually kind of I moved to Nashville to be a songwriter, and I kind of, you know, got into country music through writing, and then through my artistry, I kind of actually went into pop music. So I was doing a lot of stuff here in LA, and I was signed to Capitol Records, and then I went Def Jam in New York, and I put out a sort of a singer-songwriter, Sarah McLachlan-esque Lilith Fair type record, you know, back in that time. And then, you know, it's tough business, so it didn't really work, to be honest with you. And I sort of regrouped and said, what could I do to, I sort of regrouped to, you know, say, what could I do, you know, musically that I'll feel compelled, you know. And I kind of went back to my roots. You know, I discovered Jamie Cullum, of course, Michael Bublé, and Diana Krall was already out and stuff. And I was like, well, those guys are doing it. You know, I wonder what would happen if I wrote a jazz song instead of writing all the pop and the country stuff. And so I did, and I haven't stopped since. And now I'm just thrilled to be doing. It's what I should have been doing the whole time.
The album is called Countrypolitan Duets. How did you wind up? I mean, the Nashville connections I get because you're there, but Matt, how did that happen?
Well, Matt was really interesting. I was at a show in Napa Valley, and I do a lot of shows up there, you know, because wine and jazz, they go so well together. And but this particular evening, I was a guest in the audience at the Napa Valley Reserve, and he was the performer, and I was in the middle of making the record. And I knew I wanted to cut "You Don't Know Me." It was one of my favorite songs, and I had my eye on a few people. I had like Elvis Costello, Vince Gill, you know, sort of my wish list. And I heard this guy sing, and I was just completely leveled. I mean, I was blown away. And I looked next door to Monty, my producer and husband, and I said, "You don't know me," and he goes, "Agreed." So I kind of went up to him after the show and just did the fan thing, like, "Wow, you're amazing. I'm Anna Wilson, da da da." And I introduced myself, introduced Monty, and told him who we were and what we were doing with this record. I said, you know, I rarely am knocked out by, you know, live music. And I said, you have just completely knocked us out. We think you're amazing. Would you be interested in coming to Nashville and recording this song with me? And I told him the list of other people that were on the record, like Lady Antebellum, Keith Urban, Kenny Rogers, Ray Price. And he's like, absolutely, you know, let me know. We exchanged numbers. And I said, well, tomorrow I have a show at Gargiulo Vineyards. Why don't you come down? We're doing a harvest party. I can't. I gotta get back home. He was on a schedule. I was like, and I kind of pressed pretty hard, and he just wouldn't give. And I was like, okay. I said, well, I'll call you and we'll bring you down to Nashville in a couple weeks, record the song, it'll be great. And next day we're at the gig and playing, and he comes walking down the hill. And I go, "You came?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "You made it sound like it was going to be so much fun." And he said, "Plus, I went back to my hotel room last night and I Googled you guys, and I figured I probably I should come and meet these people, get to know them a little better."
Love it.
It was really funny, and the rest is history.
Matt Gerard, who was, if you don't remember from American Idol, Karen and I were just talking about last night because she kept drawing comparisons between him and Michael Bublé. Some similar styles. Plus, he wore the hat, and he had the look going on. I think he was like third or fourth finisher.
He was fifth, but he was the only judge's save that they've ever used in the history of American Idol,
Gotcha.
at least
That
to that
up
point.
until this year.
Up until that point, and then
they
I
saved
think they
Casey Abrams, the jazz singer, this year.
Right,
I
right.
thought that was interesting.
So
he's a very talented kid, and the two of you sound great on You Don't Know Me.
Thank you.
This album, Country Politan Duets, Anna Wilson and Friends, is for me a little bit of a throwback to an earlier part of my career when I spent 10 years in country radio and helped some friends start a country record label. And first of all, I told Anna when she came in, I met her husband at a Nashville event, and saw him a couple other times, and we have a lot of acquaintances in common. He is like Anna, a gifted songwriter. I was a big fan when I was doing country. I mean, I think my first exposure to your husband, Monty Powell, was I think maybe a Restless Heart or a Diamond Rio song, if you're familiar with country.
that'd be about right. That's how he started.
And
yeah.
he's written, in fact, I told the story earlier. Didn't he co-write, I don't want to make this up about your husband, but
no, it's so good.
Didn't he write the Tim McGraw hit,
yes, one of these days. One of these days, yep.
Marcus
sure did.
Hummin, who co-wrote that,
Yes.
on my 40th birthday, sat in my living room and did that song. And,
man.
And so we have great
That's
affection.
a great song.
For, yeah, and we had great affection for country songwriting in general. You picked some really interesting songs, and one of the things that I find interesting about this concept, this whole idea of doing classic country songs in a kind of a jazz style, the similarity between country lyrically and the artist's storytelling. There's great similarities between country and standard jazz standards.
Right.
And I saw, did that make this a comfortable thing for you to do?
It did at some level, and because musically, a lot of people would think country and jazz, they're so starkly different.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you look at it with the lens of today, it's true.
Yeah, today's country.
But back in the day
Right.
of the 50s and
Right.
early 60s, when the Nashville Sound was happening, with guys like Eddie Arnold and Patsy Cline, Brenda Lee, all those great, of Jim Reeves, they were trying to still stay relevant in the marketplace because
Right.
guys like Sinatra and Sammy Davis and all those guys were the pop music of the day.
Right.
So they started putting these lush string arrangements
Right.
and very more sophisticated sounds
Sure,
into
sure.
their country music so that they could be played alongside and keep a footprint for country music. And quite frankly, they were criticized by the country audiences, saying you've abandoned your country
Right,
roots
right.
and all this stuff. But what they really did is they opened up an entire audience to Nashville and to
Right.
country music by showing that, hey, we're not all walking around with straw in our teeth and barefoot down in Nashville.
Yeah, it wasn't the stereotype. And even some of the country back then was very like Bob Wills. I mean, it was basically big band with country
the
lyrics and
Texas
vocals.
swing whole
Yeah.
thing. We cut a Bob Wills song on this record, the Cherokee Maiden track with
With my
Billy
old friend
Dean.
Billy Dean.
You know Billy?
Yeah.
Oh, Billy's great.
One of
He's
my
so
favorite broken
wonderful.
heart songs in the world. He did "Somewhere in My Broken
So,
Heart,"
which
of
won
my
a Grammy. Yeah.
favorite songs of all time.
He's wonderful.
And one of the artists that was doing that kind of that swing and jazz feel, if you will, back in the day was Patsy Cline, and Anna Wilson does Patsy's classic "Walking After Midnight" from Country Politan Duets on MartiniInTheMorning.com. Midnight, Anna Wilson style. The album is called Country Politan Duets, and it's available from Amazon. So if you go to our website, MartiniInTheMorning.com, click on one of the Amazon links, and if you pick up the album, we get a couple pennies out of Anna's pocket.
Yeah, well, speaking of pennies, too, my gosh. Well, that song features Lady Antebellum on the background
I love
vocals.
those guys.
And they're so awesome. And it was great because I wrote a song on their Need You Now record. So I just got my first $5 million award as a songwriter.
$5 million?
Well, no, I wish it was $5 million. Oh, my God. Wouldn't that be great? No, it's a plaque.
Yeah.
But I'll take it, too.
They're fabulous. They've
They're great.
really kind of reshaped what country sounds like right now. They've got a great sound.
Absolutely.
This will date me. What's her name? The lead singer, Hillary.
Hillary Scott
Yeah.
and Charles Kelly. They kind of share that.
I kind of had a crush on her mom.
Oh,
my
Linda.
wife's not listening. Yeah.
Linda Davis.
We met her when she was.
Who doesn't have a crush on Linda Davis?
beautiful.
She's like the nicest person ever.
Nicest lady and a great singer. She was touring with Reba when I first met her, and then and then she did her own. Well, she did the big duet with Reba McEntire, and then she did her own. She had an album out that was really fun to play on country radio back in the day. So you just bring back all this flood of memories.
I know,
it's crazy.
I know.
And you're playing in Fresno tonight with Matt Dusk, and 2 blocks from the radio station I worked at for many years in Fresno. So old, and our daughter Bailey was born about 2 miles from where you're playing tonight. It's just too much. Hey, so you and Matt, you guys have some pretty cool stuff coming up. You and Matt Dusk.
Yeah, we got 2 Matts on the record, so we have to specify.
Wait, which Matt are you playing with?
Well, I'm playing with Matt Dusk. Yeah, no, you had it right. I was just clearing it up for any listeners out there because we were talking about Matt Gerard earlier.
And confusing the disc jockey. That's okay.
No,
I'm easily confused.
You are not confused. You're right on the money, man. I've been on tour for 2 months with Matt Dusk, a Canadian crooner.
Yeah,
and he's awesome. And we're going to play the Tower Theater up there in Fresno tonight. It's closing the tour tonight. I'm a little bittersweet because we've been together, and now it's like it's just going to be over.
Yeah, I
hate that.
Some of our listeners were at the Anaheim show and said that you guys were fabulous.
Oh, that's great. I hate that it's over, but it's been a long tour too, and we're tired and probably need some little rest, little R&R.
And you're headed back to Nashville?
Well, yes, actually, I'm going to Florida for a week. Little beach time, take off from this 2-week tour, and then we hit back weekend after next. We have a show in Utah, outside of Salt Lake City.
You're originally from Utah, aren't you?
Actually, no, I'm from Philadelphia, but I have a home in Utah, as well as Nashville. So we split our time between Nashville and the mountains of Utah.
Got it.
And so I have a show back there in Salt Lake City on June 4th. So we hit back, and then we hit the CMA Fest in Nashville. We're going to play the Grand Ole Opry, Matt and I, and hoping some other special guests will join that I can't totally say yet. But
you can't say?
We're playing the Opry fanfare show at the Ryman, which is the best place to do this kind of music, because this is where the Ryman is where all these artists like Patsy Cline and Brenda Lee perform this music.
Of course.
So it's really great. It's the matinee show on June 11th. For all the fans coming in from all over the world.
And that's you and Matt Dusk?
Me and Matt Dusk, and maybe a couple other special guests that are not totally confirmed, but I think it's looking good that they might show up.
So if you're in Nashville during, is it still called FanFest?
Fanfare? No, it's actually technically called CMA Music Fest.
Yeah, I remember
but everyone calls it Fanfare.
It was Fanfare for all those years. Anna Wilson, the album called Countrypolitan Duets, along with Matt Dusk on Martini in the Morning. Matt, we've been playing here at martiniinthemorning.com for like a long time. In fact, Matt, we were doing a show. We used to be on an AM radio station here in Los Angeles back in from 2002 to 2006, and we were doing a show in Vegas with it was a big dinner dance thing. A bunch of listeners came in from the LA area, and Matt happened to be playing at the hotel. We were at the Las Vegas Hilton, and so right in the middle of this dinner, he found out that we were there, and he comes running into the room, and he got up with this local band and did a couple of songs. He's fabulous. He's fun to work with, and his management team is very interesting because he's managed by Barry Manilow's company.
Absolutely,
Barry and Gary Keefe, and Matt's a very talented guy. Just did a PBS special not long ago.
That's what we're on tour promoting. I mean, that's what his tour is about. It's called the Back from Las Vegas tour. The DVD is live from Las Vegas.
Love it.
And it's him and the big band and stuff, and so he's out promoting it. It just came out, and I was the fortunate artist that got invited to be his opening act.
That's great. That's great. I think it's a great pairing. And again, doing these classic country songs was just a stroke of genius, I think.
Oh, thank you.
From Bob Wills' Cherokee Maiden to of course the song I want to do 2 songs, and they're both connected to one artist. You have 2 songs that are both related to Ray Price.
Oh yes. Of course.
Actually, the one I really want to play, I want to play Good
Actually,
Times.
3, I think. There's
Really?
3 songs in the record. I think he did for the Good Times as well.
He did. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I know. I'm
that.
just such a Ray Price fan. I started thinking, gosh, I got 3 Ray Price songs in here, but I don't care. He's so great.
I've always loved Nightlife, which I want to play before, and I know we can't keep you here forever because it's a long drive to Fresno.
It's all good.
But let's see. I want to play this song. There it is. How did you make the Ray Price Rascal Flatts thing happen?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, that came about through Pete Fisher at the Grand Ole Opry.
Mm-hmm.
He was a fan of the idea of the record. And I said, well, I've got a lot of friends that I'm going to be asking. I gave him the list of people I knew, and I said, but I'd love to get some legendary people, that made these songs famous. And I said, I'm a huge Ray Price fan. And he said, well, I could certainly make an introduction. He said, I can't make any promises, but I can introduce you to his, people and to him and stuff. And I was like, okay, that would be great. So I told them the concept, and they fell in love with it. So once I got Ray Price to agree to do the duet, which, was surreal in itself, I thought it was just going to be that. And then we started really thinking about how we were going to arrange the song and how we were going to treat the lush string arrangements that were in the original recording and make it, when you do a cover, when it's a cover for me, rather, you want to reinterpret it like different.
Right.
So
make it your own.
Yeah, make it your own.
Yeah.
And so we decided, I said, well, I'm going to call up the Rascal Flatts guys and ask them if their harmonies and their voices would replace what the strings would have normally done. And so it worked out great. It was like a once in a lifetime pairing of,
Listen to those strings.
I know. It's pretty cool.
Anna Wilson, Rascal Flatts, Ray Price on MartiniInTheMorning.com. The album is called Countrypolitan Duets. That song, you were just saying, that song kind of sums it up.
It does. It really just
all the pieces that make this puzzle complete. You've got a classic song. Go ahead. You explained it really well.
Well, we have the classic country song.
Yeah.
We have the legendary artist who made it famous,
Right.
Country artist who made it famous, Ray Price. We have the contemporary country artist in Rascal Flatts, and myself, the jazz singer. So it's the entire culmination of all the elements of what we were trying to express in this entire record, all put into one song, which is really fun and cool.
It's an interesting album, we're not going to we don't have time to play all the duets, but you have Kenny Rogers on here for the Good Times. Lloyd Green is a big steel guitar player.
Oh
right?
my gosh, yeah, good for you. Wow, you really know your stuff. The great thing about Lloyd Green is, a lot of people don't. Who's Lloyd Green?
Right.
And Lloyd Green is the steel guitar player who played on all the Patsy Cline, Ray Price, all those great Charlie Pride, all those old records. And being a songwriter, I was just like, I'm doing all these cover songs. I've never done a record of cover songs. In fact, I've never recorded a song that I haven't written until this record.
Wow.
Yeah. So now find myself making a record of 10 covers, and I'm, the songwriter in me is freaking out, and I'm like, I just have to at least try one. So what we did is me and my producer Monty Powell and my musical arranger Jeff Frenzel got together, and I said, what could we try to do if we tried to write a song that, if I was a countrypolitan artist back in the day, what would I have written and recorded?
Right.
And so we wrote this song called I Will Never Know, and I said, well, we would probably call up Lloyd Green to play steel guitar. And so he made the perfect duet partner for that, and he brought the steel guitar that he played on all the Patsy Cline records.
Wow.
And it was really cool.
MartiniInTheMorning.com. Anna Wilson from the only original on the album.
That's correct. Yeah.
But you wrote it in the style. I mean, it sounds. The first time I listened to it, I had to go back and look to see who wrote it because I thought, I don't know that song, and I know all the other songs in the album I knew. So,
well, that's the best compliment, because the fact that it kind of blends in
and that was the
fits,
object of the exercise.
And that was the goal. And and a lot of people, there are a lot of people that don't know it's an original. They think it was like. They're like, now who recorded that? And I'm like, no one. It's original.
You got all the pieces there that make it feel like like that countrypolitan time in the country music genre. Countrypolitan Duets, the album. Anna Wilson. Another song on here that I wanted to play. We just don't have time to play them all. Who did the original version of the country version of Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues?
Danny O'Keefe.
Well, that was the pop. He had a pop hit with it.
Oh, he did.
But somebody in country did. I want to say Waylon Jennings had. I'll look it up. I'll look it up in a minute. But you did it with Keith Urban, who's just on fire in country music, and Mr. Nicole Kidman. Oh, that's not his. Keith Urban is we were talking off the air that Keith used to be part of a band called The Ranch, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
And now
Monty, who produced this record, Monty Powell, produced the Ranch record. So,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just great stuff. You got all these great people. Is there anyone that you want to do a duet with that isn't on
that I
this?
couldn't get or isn't on? Yes, of course there is. You know, well,
I mean,
I would love to do a duet with Tony Bennett, of course. You know, that would be awesome. I know he's Tony. If you're listening, I know you're making a
it's
record.
not. I don't think that it's not done yet. I don't think. I think it's supposed to be out in August for his 85th birthday.
Oh, that would be awesome.
He's got. Rumor is Lady Gaga, Amy Winehouse. Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones I know. I'm pretty sure about. He was at a party here in LA. A friend of ours attended and kind of let a little of it slip. But yeah, that's a great.
I mean, he would be the ultimate. You know, I mean, of one of my heroes, jazz heroes, and of course, Barbra Streisand. I love Barbara, you know, and I always think it's so cool when two women do a duet together. You know, you got to find just the right song. We do have one. There is one female duet on here with Connie Smith. And it was an interesting story. You know, we were just like, we got to find a song that two girls can sing. But we did, and it worked out.
It's not easy for a couple of reasons because just two women in a duet, it's hard.
Most are love songs, and so you got to find the right subject material. And so that was a fun challenge to find the right song. But you know, going back to the one with Keith, I mean, that was just such a wonderful. It was perfect because you know, I really think about Keith's artistry and what would fit, you know, his voice and you know, also allow him to step out of the country thing and into the jazz thing, but still bring what is great about Keith to the song, you know. And Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues was I think a really perfect call for him and for me. And so we did a real, you know, mellow treatment of it, and you know, just kind of it's a special track, I gotta tell you.
I'm being rude. I'm over here looking it up because I remember hearing a country version of the song that I fell in love with, and I can't remember who did it. I'll look it up. You know what? Your ride's not back yet.
No, come on, we'll keep going.
From the album Countrypolitan Duets, Anna Wilson and Keith Urban on Martini, and my wife's going crazy right now. She's a huge Keith Urban fan.
Good.
It's martiniinthemorning.com. By Danny O'Keefe, big top 40 hit. It got played on country radio, got everywhere. It was a monster hit for a one-time hit.
It was a one-hit wonder.
I mean, he wrote songs for other people
Absolutely.
that were recorded many times, but one time for Danny O'Keefe, great song. Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues. Anna Wilson from Countrypolitan Duets. We could sit here and do this all day. We could talk about people we both know, make me miss Nashville even more. But this next song. Nightlife is such an amazing song, and you teamed up with, on this one somebody who's not a country artist.
Well, yeah, and the goal of the record too was to also incorporate jazz artists as duet partners. You know, so we have Larry Carlton on Nightlife, we have Rick Braun on You Can Depend on Me, the famous Brenda Lee song, and so you know, Larry lives in Nashville, right outside of town, and it was great because I knew that he had an appreciation for Nashville. He understood Music City, you know, and even though he doesn't really do country music, he's inspired every guitar player in Nashville, you know, so it was a perfect, you know, connect. But I didn't know Larry. I called him up cold. I mean, his management, you know, tried to reach out to him, and you know, I just, by that point in the record, I had like a nice list of all the wonderful artists who had already endorsed the record and done a duet, so that helped be a good calling card. And he heard the idea and he was like, yeah, you know, I'd love to do that. What song do you have in mind? And I said, well, Willie Nelson's Nightlife. And I said I feel like you could really step out and do a bluesy kind of guitar thing, you know. And he's like, yeah, he says that sounds perfect. And he listened to the track, and the rest is history.
It's Anna Wilson from Countrypolitan Duets, The Nightlife, on martiniinthemorning.com. What a fun album. And again, you know,
thank you.
I grew up around country and was not a fan. My dad was a big country fan, and I grew up around it. And this is the music. These are the songs. My mom and dad had, you know, Ray Price albums. They had you know, I was trying to think of one in particular. My dad was a big Marty Robbins fan. We actually play on this Twin Spin Tuesday thing we do. Marty Robbins did a version of the great Jimmy McHugh and Dorothy Fields song "Sunny Side of the Street," and we play that in
I
our Twins
love
band.
that song.
But he's of that era, you know.
Absolutely. Like my mom, I grew up because my mom was a piano player and she played, but just in the house, you know, just for her own enjoyment and stuff. And my dad was a big country fan, so he listened to all the guys you just said, you know, the old time country music. And my mom played all the Great American Songbook stuff and all the Broadway show tunes. So I really come by it honestly because I have, you know, the jazz side from mom and the country side from dad, and you know, this album I guess is just the perfect blend of all those influences, you know.
It's really a lot, and it's a lot of fun. And again, it takes me back because I know some of the people involved in it, and you know, all your duet partners on the album, just really clever. The arrangements are amazing. It's it's a fun album. It's called Countrypolitan Duets. Anna Wilson tonight in Fresno, California. At the beautiful Tower Theater in the Tower District of Fresno. They call that area the Tower District because of the theater.
Great.
And it's just kind of a little artsy community in the middle of Fresno. And since it is Twin Spin Tuesday, we're going to wrap this up with a song, and we're going to play Tony Bennett and Katie Lang's version of this song after Anna Wilson from Countrypolitan Duets. You Can Depend on Me. It's Martini in the Morning. Anna, thank you.